What's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about where Bitcoin is right now because it rallied into a bull pennant yesterday, and unfortunately for all of our bulls out there who are hoping that now was finally the time that we were going to go back to all-time high, we broke bearish, and we're currently sitting right around $62,500 on Bitcoin. But the good news is Bitcoin, while doing that, managed to set a new local high, which means that it is now entering a new uptrend. And if Bitcoin is able to maintain this uptrend, then we very well may see a rally back to all-time high within the next week or so. I think that we're going to have a very bullish next couple of weeks, but as you know, my price prediction is the lowest of the four of us for Friday, and I think I might be on pace to win. I am joined, as always, by Tim. What do you think about that, Tim?
It is Wednesday, my dude.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
That means there's still 48 hours left for this prediction. It's not over.
It is not over.
The truth is, you can even ask my good friend Smay that you're about to introduce here in just a second.
It's
actually very scary when you're in the lead on Thursdays because it seems like every time you're in the lead on Thursdays.
Tim, it's Wednesday.
No, but I'm saying it's not even that yet. So we have 48 hours, and we know things change all the time.
I don't like that you're pointing at me. It's very passive-aggressive.
I'm pointing at the camera.
It's very passive-aggressive. Yeah, but I'm sitting behind the camera.
That's coincidental.
That's passive-aggressive. I don't like that. We're also joined as never this week by Smay. Welcome back, Smay. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm back. Round of applause, yeah. So I agree with Tim. If you're in the lead now, it's not looking good for you on Friday. I'm sorry. We're gonna see a
historical analysis.
We're gonna see a pretty
Tim, what are the price
exciting
predictions?
rally.
Do you have them off the top of your head?
I have them on a link that I can pull up in 5.
I'm $64,000, right?
2, and you are 64.5. T Shroom is 65,420. Smay is 69,000 total at the highest, and I'm 67,300.
Well, there you go. I think that I might be on pace to win this,
No,
and I'm really excited.
Listen, man, I think there's something about that wick that went up above 64 that was some trajectory. We're going to come back up.
I think we're going to do well. I just think it's going to take longer than Friday.
69,
we shall see.
69,
we shall see.
baby.
We are also joined by Smay. Have I introduced you yet? I think
You
I
literally did.
I literally just introduced you.
Hey, second introduction, guys.
Second introduction.
Woo!
Smay, shout out our members for us, man.
Oh, dude, I want to shout out our members today, guys. You know what? Today I want to do something. I'm going to shout out everybody. I love you guys. And guess what? Today, and I mean today, after the stream, go to your community tab on YouTube. And if you haven't already got a mug or a sticker based off of your tier, guys, there are going to be coupon codes for you to go get it off our merch site. Today! You can order it today!
Let us go.
So after the stream, because I'm not posting it until after stream, so you better stay and watch. After the stream, go to the community tab. If you're whatever tier you are, it'll show up for you.
Let me show them our merchandise real quick. Let me show them this. I don't know if we've shown this on camera yet. This is done. This went live a couple days ago, our new merch store, cryptojebb.com. You can come to merchandise right here, and you can see all of our beautiful merch here. So make sure you check it out. We got all kinds of stuff. And I even had a dream last night that the Smangatan Smay on a Ladder shirt was coming. That is coming, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yes, it definitely is. And also, I just want to clear something out. I know Tim was spreading a lot of FUD about me while I was gone, saying that
he said you were hungover.
I was hungover. Guys, it was a cold. And you know what? And
let me start with one question, Smay.
If you say so.
Yes.
Did your lips touch more than 6 bottles on Saturday?
Jeez.
What the heck does that mean?
Did your lips touch more? Just answer yes or no. Did they touch more than 6 bottles?
You know what? Without context, it sounds really bad.
Yes or no?
But yes, I did.
Wow. Okay. Case over. Case solved.
But guys, they were like little taste sample bottles.
Did you have enough water, Smay? Did you eat some bread before you did that?
They were little whiskey samples, dude.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, guys, today's show is brought to you by Lux Algo. It's one of the indicators that we're going to be using for our analysis today. If you enjoyed today's show, as always, hit that like button. It helps to pump this video in the YouTube algorithm. And if you think more people will get value out of this show, that's one way that you can help spread the good word of coffee and crypto, because we go live 9:30 Eastern every single day. The way we're breaking this show up is as follows. We're going to start as always, with our bullish technical analysis. Then we're going to move into our bearish technical analysis. We'll be jumping into our bearish TA around 9:55, and then around 10:10, we're going to jump into our discussion. And in that discussion, we are going to be talking about the Federal Reserve tapering bond purchases, and we're going to be talking about interest rates. We're going to talk about a lot of different things in crypto. We got a great show lined up for you today, so let's go ahead and dive onto my chart. As I said, the first segment here is going to be our bullish TA, so let's look at that. Very first thing I want to do is give you a bit of a rundown on what Bitcoin has done over the last several days. As you know, Bitcoin had a very bullish October. Then we had a downtrend that lasted the final week of October, leading up until October 28th. And ever since then, we've actually bottomed out and have been trending up. The main thing I want to point out today, and this is what we're titling the video around, is that Bitcoin has now set a new local high at $64,300 when its previous local high was at $63,700. This is very, very important. Why? Because it basically means that Bitcoin has managed to establish a new local high, and that means that we are officially in an uptrend. We also set a local high above this right here. But let's zoom out and go to the daily and look at our bullish TA, because you guys know we like to show the bullish first because we are optimists, but we also like to show the bearish second because we are realists. Let's take a look here first and foremost at our MACD oscillator. MACD is giving us some very bullish signals right now. Well, it's not very bullish yet, but potentially bullish setups. Right now, the MACD is converging bullish on itself and has been for generally the last 6 days. These 2 days down here, we did not have any bullish convergence, but we basically have seen bullish convergence over the last 2 days. That does indicate that we are seeing at least a little bit more bullish momentum come into the market. On top of that, if we take a look here at our RSI, we can see that the RSI is sitting around 58, which means that we are currently in that control zone. Now, we also need to look at the VPVR. This is very important, guys. If you zoom out on the daily chart and look at VPVR, you can see that the VPVR maxima is sitting at 61,300. This line is also known as the point of control on the VPVR. It is the absolute highest level that the VPVR has, and it is like the top of a mountain. I use this analogy all the time. If you're sitting on top of a mountain, you're either going to roll one way or you're going to roll the other way. In this case, with the VPVR, it's the same thing. Think about the market as a ball on top of a hill. The market is either going to roll up or it's going to roll down, but the market is unstable right up here because if it just gets nudged a little bit, it's going to pick up momentum and move in the opposite direction. What we've done yesterday and moving into today is we managed to see Bitcoin start rolling down the hill in the bullish direction. It's a very good thing, but we want to see that continue because, of course, there are things that could cause Bitcoin to come back down. We don't want it to have a massive correction, but that is always in the cards. If we take a look here at the Bollinger Bands, we can see that we're currently sitting just above the middle line, which is the 20 daily simple moving average, and the Bollinger Bands have constricted exorbitantly. Now, the thing that you need to keep in mind with the Bollinger Bands here is that they do typically move from a period of very wide to a period of very narrow, and then they reverse. So if you look on the history of Bollinger Bands here, obviously they move from a period of very low volatility to periods of very high volatility, then periods of very low volatility, then eventually they'll move to a period of very high volatility. Again, being in a low volatile state means that we should be expecting more volatility at some point. That might be a month from now, it might be a day from now, but we just know, based on the way the Bollinger Bands work, that we should be seeing some bullishness come in at some point in the relative near future. Now, let's move on down to the 4-hourly chart. There are a few more things we want to look at down here. First and foremost, this is the big story of the hour on Bitcoin's 4-hourly chart. There was a bull pennant that formed over the last 24 hours that started right around the time we ended yesterday's Coffee and Crypto. And this bull pennant had a price target right up here of around $66,000. I was actually on Wendy O's show yesterday, and I talked about this bull pennant, and I was hopeful that it would break to the upside, but unfortunately, it didn't manage to do that. It's continuing sideways and moving to the downside in the manner that I've expected it was going to this week, and it's currently broken below the uptrending level of support right here. Basically, what this tells us is that the bulls attempted a breakout, but they didn't have the confidence, the exuberance, or the enthusiasm to maintain that breakout. We've seen the bears do the same thing, and what this essentially means is that we're currently in a deadlock. We are in a deadlock between the bullish camp and the bearish camp, and neither one is able to confidently take back power, take back control over this market. But that doesn't mean that they can't. It just means that it hasn't happened just yet. Now, take a look here on the RSI. You can see that the RSI has set a new low and is in the process of doing so, but we're currently at 52. which is actually a very important level because 52 is right above 50, and 50 is that middle line of the oscillator. Oscillators oscillate either around a 0 level or between a 0 to 100 range, and between the 0 to 100 range, 50 is in the middle. If you're above 50, you're in the control zone of the bulls. If you're below 50, you're in the control zone of the bears. So if Bitcoin starts pushing its RSI down here below 50, then we're going to have a lot of indications that the bulls are losing their strength and that the bears are starting to take over. We haven't seen that happen yet, but we do want to keep that in mind. Now, one other thing I want to show you here on the 4-hourly chart is a little bit hard to see because I have all that charting up, but I will go ahead and show you here on another chart. There is a massive bull pennant that has been in play that is kind of similar to the bull pennant that we just saw break out. Take a look at this small little bull pennant that we just broke bearish out of. Well, if you zoom out, you can see we're actually in and were in an even bigger bull pennant that we broke out of yesterday. I do believe we spoke about this bull pennant a few days ago on the show here, and the good thing is us breaking to the upside is yet another bullish sign that the overall strength of the bulls is overall generally more than the strength of the bears. We just haven't seen them really win that battle yet. Right now, we're kind of in a deadlock. Those two factions are still fighting really, really hard. They're fighting tooth and nail. Neither one has fully come out on top yet, but we do expect that one of them eventually is going to, and I personally think it's going to be the bulls. But right now, it is a vicious battle between the bulls and the bears, and a winner and a victor has not yet been decided. So we just want to have a little bit of patience. That's really all there is to do with that. Now, let's look down here to the hourly chart. There are a few things that I can show you. I'll just kind of run through some of these different chart formations really quickly. RSI is pushing down into the bearish control zone on hourly chart, which indicates that the bears are taking back charge. Until 2 hours ago, when we broke bearish out of this, we also saw that the MACD was converging bullish. That basically was telling us, hey, the market was trying to have a bullish MACD cross. We were trying to break bullish out here, but that is not what occurred. We actually broke to the downside, and now MACD is telling us that. Now, final thing I want to point out here is actually to do with the TD sequential. The TD sequential got overextended here on the hourly chart, and we ended up reversing, and that basically tells us that, hey, the market pushed well beyond what the TD sequential said we should be able to, which is it is a sign in the direction of the bulls. It basically means that we were able to push farther than we probably should have on the hourly chart, which means that there is a lot of pent-up bullish strength down on the hourly chart. It just hasn't yet been released. So let's look out to the daily chart. Let's do a little bit of market cipher TA, and then we're going to jump into a news story about Mayor Suarez of the United States city of Miami. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Really interesting story. But first and foremost, we're going to look at market cipher B. It's one of the technical indicators that we use here on the channel. First thing I want to show you is on the daily. There are a few things to look at here. Number one, you can see the money flow is staying steady for any of our cipher traders out there. You'll know what this means. This basically means, hey, again, we're in this kind of deadlock period. We're having this battle between the bulls and the bears, and neither faction has been decided yet. Us trading sideways right here means, yeah, a lot of money's coming into this space, but we haven't yet seen a big breakout as a result of that. We can also see that the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, has broken above the 0 level. The reason that that is important is because it means that Bitcoin is currently above some of the level. It is generally over the last few days doing well. That's pretty much what VWAP is telling us. We can also see that momentum, the momentum wave here is starting to curve to the upside, and we even saw a green dot. You could take this as a sell signal, but it's kind of dangerous to use market cipher B and only use one of the 4 components of this indicator. So yes, this momentum moving to the upside is a good sign, but you kind of need to see a little bit more before you really get excited. You want to see that that money flow moving to the upside. You want to see the RSI curving hard up. So there's a little bit of bullishness here on the daily chart. I would be careful about putting too much faith in it. However, taking a look here at the market cipher DBSI, though, there is something that we are very excited about. You can see on the 31st of October, we all know what day that is. It's the day after Snake's birthday. That had a 7 on top of it. That indicated selling pressure. And then the day after, on November the 1st, we had a 12 above the candlestick, indicating quite a bit more selling pressure. However, these last 2 days, despite the correction that we're undergoing literally right now as we're talking, down to about 62,000, we have a 13 and a 16. What does that mean? That basically is telling us that there is strong buy pressure coming in. You might not see it in the candles, but DBSI is telling us that it is indeed there. Now, moving down to the 4-hourly chart, we can also look at market cipher here. Again, we are looking at a different scenario on the 4-hourly chart than we were looking at on the daily chart. On the daily chart, we looked slightly bullish. It looked like we were trying to set up for a bullish movement, but that it hadn't started yet. However, on the 4-hourly chart, it's a little bit different. We've seen a red dot happen here on the momentum, and we're curving pretty hard to the downside. RSI is curving hard to the downside. VWAP has dropped below the 0 level, and the money flow is starting to round. This is not really a sell signal just yet, but it's getting there. However, there is something else I want to show you on market cipher down on the 4-hourly, and that is that we do have an anchor wave and a trigger wave right here, basically telling us, hey, we're setting higher lows on the momentum, which tells us that the general overarching trend over the last several days is bullish, even if when we zoom in, the more recent price action is bearish. So we're seeing a little bit of bearishness out of this period of the market, but if you take into account all of this, this is kind of more bullish, while this is a little bit more kind of like nested bearish action. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Now, moving on down here to the hourly chart, we can also see that things are not looking great down here. Money flow is crashing, RSI is crashing, momentum is crashing, and VWAP is crashing. All of that is happening because Bitcoin, relatively speaking to the hourly chart, is, I'm not going to use the word crashing because I don't want to spread FUD, but dropping. It is sitting right around 62,000, and this is why I'm pretty confident that I'm going to win the HODL Trophy a third week in a row, because I don't think that Bitcoin is going to manage to get above 65,000 by the end of this week. I do think it's going to happen this month, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. We shall see. Now, there's one final thing I want to show you that I meant to show you on the daily chart on the market cipher, and that is this. There are two bottoming momentum waves down here, an anchor wave and a trigger wave right here. You can see boom, boom. These happen going all the way back to the 20th of July. So this is a very long-term pattern we're looking at here. We're talking about all of this pricing data. If you take a look at these two waves right here, both of them are higher lows. Both of them correspond to higher lows on the price action. They also both correspond to higher lows on the RSI generally. Pretty much what they're telling us is that we're in a very long-term, extremely bullish state on the market, but we just haven't seen all of that play out in the last 2 days. So again, Bitcoin is very bullish right now in the medium term. In the next day or two, not looking quite as bullish. Now, let's go ahead and take a look here at this article about the mayor of Miami, and then we're going to jump into our intermission, read some super chats. If you're enjoying today's stream, smash that like button. Let's see if we can't get to over 1,000 likes here in the next couple of minutes. Now, jumping onto my screen, we can look at this. This is kind of just a headline article, but I want to hear Tim's take on it. Francis Suarez, the sitting mayor of Miami, yes, Miami, as in one of the larger cities in America. It's in the top 10. I don't remember how big it is, but it's pretty big. Announced that he will receive his entire paycheck in Bitcoin, making him the first sitting politician to do so. Earlier, NFL stars and other athletes were also seen taking part or entire paychecks in Bitcoin, but never a sitting politician has done so before. Tim, we've talked quite a bit about different athletes and different celebrities on this show taking payment in Bitcoin. Is this a big deal? This is definitely precedent setting as far as I'm concerned.
I would love to know how much it pays to be the mayor of Miami.
Good question.
Being a massive city, I'm sure it's decent. But this is, like you just said, it's bigger than just, hey, a person decided to take their salary in Bitcoin. This is the mayor of Miami who has been crazy bullish about Bitcoin for a while now, at least as long as I have been involved. This is him putting his money where his mouth has been. He has been very, very, very outspoken about making Miami a Bitcoin hub for the entire world, not just for the U.S. Yeah. So this is huge. The other news you kind of even mentioned right there, for any of my sports fans out there, Aaron Rodgers, if it weren't for playing in the same decade as Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, might be one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback the NFL has ever seen. He just announced that he's going to be taking salary in Bitcoin. It's a futuristic, he says this is the future of money. This is the future of how we're going to do things. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and get in early. We are seeing influential people continue to adopt this. And so for me, this doesn't change anything because, we've been studying this for a while. We know that the mayor was this bullish, but this is a headline that people who have not been doing their research will see and be like, oh my gosh, he believes in it that much. What am I missing out on?
Yeah, and I just looked it up. Miami is the 44th largest city in America, which is a lot smaller than you might think. The reason is because Miami-Dade is broken up into like 15 different cities. Miami-Dade County, however, is the 8th largest county in the United States with a population of, as of 2020 census, 2.7 million, which is huge. It's one of the larger areas in America, and that kind of influence down there is a very, very big deal.
I don't know if someone in chat wants to look it up. What I would be interested in, because this is a joke people say from time to time, that Miami shouldn't even be its own city or its own state. It should be its own country. If Miami was a country,
for real,
what rank would it be in the world?
That's a good idea. Miami-Dade.
But we can, I know we need to keep moving on.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone in chat, what? 400,000 population. Yeah, it's 400,000 population. If someone in chat wants to figure that out, do the math.
Yeah, but Miami, the city itself, is actually really low just because of the way the area is broken up. It's broken up into all kinds of different...
I'm even talking about economically. If it was its own...
Yeah, no, I know.
If it was its own country, where would it be
Miami-Dade County GDP is what I'm going to look up. With that said, we can go ahead and move into Super Chats while I'm trying to find data on that, because I'm really interested.
Yeah, we have a decent amount, actually. So the first one I see here from Justin Pokerant. I think, Pokrant or Pokerant, whichever he wants to prefer. Why is it that every time Cardano starts to rise from the ashes, Bitcoin seems to dip and steals the glory from Cardano?
That's how that is. Cardano, it's just, look, Charles Hoskinson does not care about price, and so the price is boring right now. It's really that simple, but the fact is Cardano is building a product. There are two different ways that you can make a lot of money as a business or as a cryptocurrency. Either one, you can go all in, well, there's three ways actually. Either one, you can go all in on marketing and have no product. Number two, you can go all in on product and have no marketing. Or number three, you can do both. Charles Hoskinson sits somewhere in the area of like 80% product, 20% marketing. And a good example of a company that's gone all in on product but very low on marketing is Tesla. A good example of a product a company that's gone very much in marketing but not very much in product is BitConnect. You can be very successful doing either one, but which route you take as a company is going to depend on your ethics, and it's also going to depend on and it is going to impact, I should say, the way that the price is going to move. It means that Cardano has a more sustainable, less volatile price, which I know is funny to say considering it's like 100x in recent memory, but it's actually got a much more stable price than many of these other cryptos. So even though it's not moonshotting, don't knock it for that. Be thankful for that, because it means that it's not going to screw you over.
The other thing is it's been down now for a while. That when it hits,
it's going to be big.
Oof,
it's going to be huge.
You're going to be glad you got in early. Yeah. All right, Brendan Clark said, I'm starting to get scared that... Well, here we go, ADA train still. I'm starting to get scared that ADA is never going to pump. Can y'all make me feel better? Love you guys. Brandon, it will.
It will. It definitely will. Don't be worried about that. Look, see, here's the thing. We have gotten so freaking spoiled in crypto because it's like, oh, I made 100% last week. That would take 12 years in the stock market. Like, Cardano is 100x in the last... It's 100x. Yes, Cardano is 100x in the last year and a half. It's ridiculous how much it's rallied. So I wouldn't be concerned about that.
For anyone who says Cardano hasn't done anything, ask the people of Africa.
Yeah.
It has done things. Maybe it has not come in and affected you in the United States or you in Europe, but in Africa, I don't know if anyone in chat is from Africa. Let chat know what Cardano has already done physically for the whole continent. Moving forward, Alex Fisher said, "Hey Jebb, just want to know is burning of a token bad or good? I remember you saying something about burning of BNB isn't good, but ETH does it too. Love y'all."
Burning tokens, that's a really complex answer. And the reason is because the way that question needs to be answered is very dependent on the project that's doing it and their motives. So think about it like this. There are different actions that you can take where the action and the way that you judge that action is completely and totally dependent on the reason for which you took that action. For example, if you defended yourself, then that's great. But if you attacked someone, then that's not so great. It's actually the same action. I can't say it on YouTube because I don't want to get the freaking channel taken down again, but you get my point. In Binance's case, Binance is a very centralized entity. You can make an argument that Ethereum is as well, but Ethereum is nowhere near as centralized as Binance, and it's just it really comes down to the systems architecture of both projects and the politics that go into both of them. I don't have a problem with token burning in its own right. I just am not the biggest fan of the way Binance is doing it because it seems like they're trying to pump their own token for their own gain rather than for the gain of the people using it, to keep it deflationary, that is.
Gotcha. We got another one from Carlos C. saying, do you know any information with Digital Note on the Binance exchange? Is it a good project? Do you invest in it or not?
No idea.
Yeah, then definitely you're not investing in it since we don't know about it. Last one I see here, unless something popped up T-Shroom while I wasn't looking. Roger Adcock said, "Word of the day is realm." There you go.
There you go. Well, I just looked it up. Miami-Dade has a gross domestic product. I've seen two different sources of between 140 billion and 280 billion, which would make it between the 55th and 45th largest country in the world by gross domestic product, far larger than El Salvador.
Yeah.
So the fact that Miami's moving in that direction is very encouraging. With that said, we're going to go ahead and move quickly here into our bearish segment, and then we're going to jump into a discussion about the Federal Reserve here in a little bit. Let's see, how many likes do we have on the stream right now?
We have 689 with 3,400 viewers. Before this segment is done, I think yesterday I said 1,400 and we hit it.
I think we hit 1,400.
I think we could hit 1,500.
I think we hit 1,500.
I think the people in chat can get 1,500. And again, if you like these streams, if you are new here, welcome. Please consider hitting the subscribe button and join us day in and day out for updates on what's happening in crypto.
Absolutely. And by the way, guys, if you haven't come prepared with some coffee, absolutely phenomenal. You need to go get some. This is Coffee and Crypto, and we're going to go ahead and jump onto my chart. We're going to look at the bearish technicals now because, as you know, there are a decent number of them considering Bitcoin is dropping at the moment. The very first thing to show you is the volume. The last 2 days, we had seen relatively higher volume, but in general, we are continually below the volume moving average. And essentially what that means is that Bitcoin is losing its power. It's losing its steam. Now, there is an argument to be made that that's because we're at a deadlock and neither faction has taken over yet, those being the bulls or the bears, but the volume being low is not necessarily a good thing. I'm sure Tim has some opinions on that. Do you have any opinions on that? Do you want to weigh in on that volume?
The volume being low?
Yeah.
That just means there's not a lot. I'm not too worried right now about the volume.
Good. So the other thing to talk about here is that this is really interesting. There was a spinning top that showed up here on the daily chart on November the 1st. This spinning top basically indicates to us that the market was in a period of indecision. And that is very important because it tells us that the market really doesn't know what it wants to do. It hasn't defined a trend. How do we know that? Because we have a long upper shadow, meaning at some point during the day, the bulls were in charge. But then the next day, during the same day, we had a pretty big correction indicating that the bears were in charge. So we really didn't know which one was going to take the cake. Well, we're kind of seeing the result of that. Then we saw a big rally yesterday. Now we're seeing a big drop. Again, we don't really know who's in charge, which is, I'm going to say, a bearish thing because we want it to be bullish, right? We have not seen a lot of confidence coming out of either faction, even the bears, despite the fact that we're correcting right now. Now, looking down to the 4-hourly chart, another thing to take note of is right now, we are currently sitting on the 24-hourly simple moving average. This moving average is very important because if we break below this, then it means we're going to go into this bearish area of the Bollinger Bands. That's not what we want. We want to see Bitcoin stay up here. So be paying close attention to this 61,800 to $62,000 region. We want to see Bitcoin bounce and hold up there. And if it can't, it is likely going to result in Bitcoin pushing even farther to the downside. We also saw Bitcoin rally outside of the Bollinger Bands here, which is theoretically a bullish thing, but we did end up correcting as a result. Now, take a look here at the MACD on the 4-hourly chart. Looks like we are about to have a bearish MACD cross. This would be indicative of bearish strength, and if this does occur, then it is likely going to result in even more correction to the downside. Remember this longer-term downtrend right here that we talked about. Bitcoin is probably going to come down and test it. It's sitting around 61,200 right now. If we don't manage to hold that, then that is going to be a problem. We want to hold that. It's a very important level, and if we don't, then we will keep you posted on that, but we definitely want to. Now, looking down here to the hourly chart, we can see, again, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm just going to show you a second time. We broke bearish out of this bull pennant, and that is what that is what has driven this price action. But if you take a look here at this downtrend set by this high over here at about noon on the 29th of October, right here on the 1st of November, then that is where we're currently trying to get support. God willing, we'll be able to hold that support. Hopefully, Bitcoin will do just that. Now, taking a look at the MACD, I talked about this a second ago. We were trying to converge bullish, but we didn't. We're actually seeing quite a bit of strong bearish divergence right now, and the volume has come in. We've seen quite a bit of red volume coming in, indicating that those bears are the ones in power over the last little bit. Now, taking a look here at the VPVR, I want to look at this again because there are a couple different ways that we can look at the VPVR. Depending on where we draw the VPVR, where we zoom in, that it is going to show this point of control at slightly different areas, between 60,000 and 60,100. The reason that I'm putting this in the bearish segment also is because if we start breaking below 61,200, then that means we're going to be rolling down the other side of the hill. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go that way. Crazy people live over there. We want to stay up here and continue moving in the direction of the bulls. That barrel rip you apart. You don't want that. We want to be staying in the bullish camp. And to do that, we need to stay above 61,200. Now, let's zoom out to the daily and let's look at Lux Algo, which is the sponsor of today's show. If you guys find Lux Algo to be helpful here, use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. You can find a link down below. Lux Algo has a lot to tell us right now. I have a bunch of notes surrounding what Lux Algo is saying, and we don't want to miss out on those. The very first thing that we're looking at here is that a couple of days ago, specifically the 27th of October, there was a sell signal, but it was not a strong sell signal. This purple coloration indicates to us that while, yes, we had a sell signal come in, it is a weak sell signal. You can see the candlestick coloring that Lux Algo gives us right here basically is either green, red, or purple. When it's purple, that indicates that it's either a weak that it is a weak, either bullish or bearish signal. And when it's green, it's a strong buy signal. When it's red, it's a strong sell signal. Right now, we see a purple sell signal indicating it's a weak sell signal. And you can also see the market has actually rallied above where this sell signal first happened, which indicates that we could be about to see a reversal and a strong buy signal on the daily chart. But of course, Bitcoin correcting over the last 2 hours is not exactly helping that. We definitely want that to occur. However, take a look here at this line right here. That is called the trend catcher. This thing is very, very helpful because oftentimes it will actually precede the buy and sell signal. You can see it did right over here. You want to be very careful not to use Lux Algo just for its buy and sell signals. We show you guys a bunch of different parts of this component, of this indicator package, because there is a lot to it. And if you're only looking at the buy and the sell signals, you're missing out. And frankly, it could lead you astray because that's not the way that you're supposed to use the indicator. They're supposed to help you, but you want to use other things like this trend catcher to give you confirmation of certain trends. Now, taking a look here at the reversal zones and the EQ cloud, you can see that we're in this top region of this reverse of our control zone. We're in this top region up here, which basically means that we're still in the bullish control zone as opposed to the bearish control zones. We're sitting up here in the bullish instead of the bearish. We want to stay up there. This EQ cloud currently gives us support at 54,700. I would be surprised to see us pull back that far, but if we need to, this EQ cloud does historically act as support and resistance. You can see we used it as support in this area back in September and early October. I don't think we need to go down there, but if we do, then that is going to be very, very helpful for us. Now, taking a look here at another part of Lux Algo, which is called Lux Oscillator. You can see Lux Oscillator down here has been moving to the upside. It's been curving. We talked about this several days ago, and we have now seen a couple of bullish candles here, or bars here on Lux Oscillator. It's basically telling us that the daily chart is attempting some bullish movement. So good news out on the daily chart. It looks like we're setting up for a bullish break to the upside. Lux Algo is basically telling us, based on all these different factors, that we're looking for a bullish setup on the daily chart, but it hasn't happened yet, and we're still unconfident in the trend. We've attempted to start moving to the upside, but we haven't done so with confidence. That's pretty much what we're getting right now. Now, looking down to the 4-hourly chart, we're actually bullish. We've had a strong buy signal come in, and the trend catcher, as you can see, jumped pretty significantly here. In fact, this jump on the trend catcher was one of the largest jumps that we've seen on trend catcher ever since October the 14th, when we rallied quite a bit. That's a very good sign, and it does indicate that the market's bullish. However, trend catcher is also a level that you want to stay above if you want to be bullish. If we start breaking below it, it almost acts like this kind of central level that you want to stay on top of. If we start breaking below it down here to like 61,200, then that is not going to be a good thing at all. We want to stay above this, so paying close attention to 61,800 as well as 61,200. Now, taking a look here at Lux Oscillator, you can also see that we have started rounding. Right now, basically what we're looking at is that Bitcoin is bullish on the 4-hourly chart, but that bullishness is in danger as a result of this correction that we have seen. You can even see that this, we did have a bullish cross down here on the EQ cloud, but if we continue moving to the downside, then that's probably going to reverse, and we're probably going to see a bearish cross on the EQ cloud, which would not be good at all. We definitely want to stay above 61K, guys. That is the critical level that all of our technical analysis is pointing towards right now. So basically on the 4-hourly chart, we're bullish, but that bullishness is definitely in danger of ending. Now, taking a look here at the hourly chart, you can see we saw a sell signal come in just a little bit before we had this drop. This sell signal was originally purple, but now that we've dropped so substantially, it has turned red, basically meaning it went from a weak sell signal to a strong sell signal. This is going to cause knock-on effects on the 4-hourly, 12-hourly, daily, etc. because of this correction to the downside. This strong sell signal was purple, but it is now red. You can also see we pushed pretty deep into the EQ cloud here. This is the level in the zone that is supposed to be holding us and propping us up. So if we don't manage to stay above that, then that is going to be a problem. We want to stay above this. Again, where's the bottom of the EQ cloud? 61,300. I've said that level like 15 times a day, but I'm going to drill it into your head because it's very important. Be paying close attention to 61.3. Now, just a couple more things I want to talk about here. First and foremost, the reversal zone up here actually worked very well back here a couple of days ago. We had a red X right here. This is basically a take profit on your long position. You can see we have this strong buy signal over here. This take profit, this X, perfectly timed. Gosh, I love that. And we actually reversed out of the reversal zones. We penetrated pretty deeply here into about the middle level of the reversal zones, and then we turned around. The one final thing I want to show you is on Lux Oscillator. You can see Lux Oscillator had a red dot back over here. This is the strategy that I use, guys. I use the sell signals and buy signals, the trend catcher changing color, which, by the way, it has just changed color right as we're talking to red from green. And then I look for these dots on the Lux Oscillator. You can see this red dot on Lux Oscillator came into play way back over here right after we had a small correction, literally right after we had this little tiny correction. It called, hey, look, we're looking for some bearish movement. You need to be careful. If you use those three in tandem, that strategy works very well. With that said, guys, basically what all of the bullish and bearish TA is telling us, I'll wrap it all up into a bow for you. Bitcoin is bullish on the medium term. However, on the daily chart, we're in danger of flipping bearish and putting our bullish momentum in jeopardy because of the fact that we are currently seeing the daily, the hourly chart and the 4-hourly chart have a big correction. If this gets out of hand, then it is going to cause knock-on effects on the daily chart, which we don't want to see. With that said, let's go ahead and move back into Super Chats, and then we're going to jump into a discussion about the Federal Reserve and their meeting today.
Yeah, we have one from Marcos Rojas saying, big fan of the show and love what you guys do. Any chance you guys could do some TA on VeChain? Really solid project. Do you think you could hit $1?
VeChain to $1. I'll have to look at CoinMarketCap for that one. I don't remember what VeChain's trading at right now, to be honest with you. I haven't looked at it in quite some time. We could potentially do some on VeChain in the future, but we're not going to have time to do it today, unfortunately. For VeChain to go to $1, it would have to jump into the top 10. In fact, I believe it'd have to jump into the top 5.
It needs to darn near close to 10x.
Yeah, that would be difficult. It's possible, but it'd be difficult. I think VeChain's a good project. I just don't know that it's going to 10x that quickly.
Yeah, I guess that's another question, is how quickly is he asking, is it going to do that?
Yeah, if you're talking about 5 years, yeah, VeChain's attempting to reinvent supply chain logistics, which is a multi-trillion-dollar market. If it does a good job in that, it could 10x, absolutely.
Yeah. Greg Grezik said, made $1,200 on a long trade with XRP. How?
Woo!
CT2A. Thank you, Jebb. Awesome, Greg.
Let's go, guys. CT2A is the academy where we teach you everything that we know about technical analysis. If you want to do what Greg just did, then make sure to check it out. Links below.
Yep. We have one from Samson, $50 saying, love the channel. Keep up the good work. And that's what I'm going to stop reading at.
Thank you, Samson.
Just, you know, Samson, love you. We just aren't going to get involved with that.
We're not going there.
On a crypto channel.
Nope.
You guys are allowed to believe and think whatever you want. And that is perfect. That is all I see, unless, Taylor, is there one that you're about to put over? Okay, so that's all the super chats we have so far.
Cool beans.
One just popped up.
One just came in.
Fidel said, isn't this correction anticipating the meeting of the Fed? This is not the first time the crypto drops before a Fed meeting.
This is a very good point, and that leads us very nicely into our next segment, which is our discussion segment. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Federal Reserve. So let's jump onto my screen, and I'm going to show you guys an article here that'll kind of lay the foundation for the discussion that we're having here. You probably heard a lot about this Federal Reserve meeting going on, and I kind of want to catch you up on what's going on. Drop a 1 in chat if you need a little bit of an explainer on what exactly the Federal Reserve's meeting is about, why it's important, what bond tapering, what all of that means. We're going to do a quick teaching on that. I want to be really quick here, and then we're going to dive into some discussion. What's going on here is this. The Federal Reserve's 2-day meeting is ending today, as in November the 3rd, which is literally today. A formal announcement about a reduction in emergency bond buys is a foregone conclusion. This is pretty much a sure thing at this point, is what people are saying. What's not so certain is how officials will handle still rising inflation and rising expectations for more aggressive interest rate policy. First, on tapering, the Federal Open Market Committee, if you ever see the acronym FMOC, that is what that is talking about. The Fed's policy setting arm is widely expected to say this month that they will begin tapering the $120 billion in monthly Treasury and mortgage-backed security purchases launched in response to that thing that shall not be said on YouTube, as well as many other things. Here is essentially what's oh, actually, I take that back. There is one more thing I want to read it down here. This is a graph, as you can see, of something called the Core Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. I'm not going to go into how this is calculated. Essentially, it is a major and commonly used inflation metric. It is annualized by year. I believe it's annualized by year anyway. Don't quote me on that. But you can see that the inflation based on this metric was sitting right around here. The Federal Reserve tries to target around 2%, which I think is abhorrent. We should not be targeting anything above 0% inflation because that means that we don't have a scarce currency. Very bad thing in my opinion. But you can see this metric has jumped up very quickly in recent months, all the way up to 3%, 3.5%, 3.6%. It means that inflation is picking up is pretty much what it means. It's really funny. I saw something on a sign a few days ago. It said, due to inflation, a picture is no longer worth 1,000 words. It's only worth 664 words, and that's what you get when you have inflation. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. The final thing that I want to mention here is that the Federal Reserve has dropped interest rates down to 0. What does that mean? Well, there's something called the federal funds rate. That is the interest rate that our central bank, the United States Federal Reserve, sets, and then all of the other national banks will take loans from the Federal Reserve, and then when you get a 2%, 3%, 4% mortgage, then what they're basically doing is they're saying, okay, what's the federal funds rate? Let's put 2% on top of that so that we make 2% profit off of your mortgage, and then we'll pay back the money that we're borrowing from the Federal Reserve. It's kind of how that works. It's it's a lot more complicated than that. But basically, the federal funds rate sets the foundation for how low interest rates can go. You may have noticed interest rates right now are slammed to the floor. They're almost non-existent. You're getting nothing on bonds, but if you're trying to buy a house, now is seemingly a decent time as far as interest rates are concerned. There have been talks about them raising those interest rates, and I wanted to show you a chart on this, but unfortunately, the Federal Reserve's website is down right now, so I can't show you my favorite chart over on FRED, the Federal Reserve Economic Data's site. The point here is this. Let me kind of wrap up what's going on here. Number one, bond purchasing is being tapered more than likely. I'll explain that in a second. Number two, interest rates are still slammed to the floor, and they're probably going to stay down there at 0% or near 0% until 2023 is what we are hearing. Inflation is picking up, and it is causing problems in the economy. Will the Federal Reserve taper bond purchasing during this meeting? They almost certainly will. What does that mean? Well, people talk about the money printer going brrr, right? Well, the Federal Reserve doesn't necessarily, they don't just necessarily print trillions of dollars worth of money. That's not really how that works. It's a little bit of a misconception. The way that it actually works and that liquidity is injected into the economy is by something called bond purchasing. The Federal Reserve will purchase bonds, and they'll purchase things called mortgage-backed securities, and they do that at a certain rate, and they're doing that with basically money that they just created out of thin air. They'll just say, boom, we'll buy this and we'll just deposit money into your account because we're the Federal Reserve, and everybody else, whenever you make money, that's counterfeiting and you'll go to jail because it's a felony. But if we do it, it's all right because we're managing the economy, because economies need to be managed, of course, but I could go off on that forever. It looks like they're going to be attempting to taper that off, meaning that all of that extra liquidity, all that extra stimulus that we've been putting into the economy could be coming to a rapid, slamming, screeching halt. Ideally, when they say tapering, it is going to slow down over a period of time. But when you stop putting $120 billion, not a year, a month, that's $1.5 trillion a year into the economy, that causes a big shock to the economy, and the way that they do this is going to be very, very, very impactful for the way that the U.S. economy works. And if you're outside of the United States, as 62% of our audience is, first and foremost, I just want to tell you, thank you very much for tuning in. But secondly, if you think that this doesn't affect you, you're dead wrong, because the Federal Reserve basically has control over the entire global economy, because they have control over the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. dollar has hegemony, somebody corrected me on, I just like saying hegemony, I know it's hegemony. They have hegemony over the rest of the world's economy, because we do have the world reserve currency status. So here is the deal. Federal Reserve tapering interest rates is a big deal. Tim, how big of an impact do the decisions that the Federal Reserve make have on the average person?
Massive, because at the moment, the U.S. dollar is being used as what we just kind of grade everything in the entire world, and that's the world, not just the United States. Every country compares what is happening to the U.S. dollar. So every decision we make is when you say the average person, I'm not just talking about the average American. I'm talking about the average human on planet Earth. It's effective. It's pretty big to them.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely huge, and the reason it's huge is because your dollar, if you're in the United States, is the foundation of everything economic, and your financial life is one of the biggest components of your life. And if you don't have control over your finances, there's a problem. And here's the reason that we don't like inflation here at this channel, and that I don't like that the Federal Reserve has a 2% inflation target, and they almost always do. Because whenever you have inflation, it means that your money is becoming worth less and less year over year. That incentivizes instant gratification mentality, where people will go and spend their money right now rather than doing the wise thing, which is investing it, because there's this Keynesian economic model that we have been following as the West, and now as the rest of the world for the last 100 years, that the penultimate measure of an economy is the gross domestic product. I talk about gross domestic product because it's the commonly agreed upon metric that we want to look at. The problem with the way that our current economy and current economic policies are set up is we run an economy based on inflation. It is the Federal Reserve's opinion. It is most economists' opinion nowadays that what matters in an economy is circulating supply. Circulation of currency. How much is currency moving around? How many times are people selling things? How many times are people buying things? Don't get me wrong, that's very important for an economy, but if you measure that, then you're missing the real component, which is long-term investment, because long-term investment leads to that growth in the GDP of a country. Basically, what we're talking about here is that whenever you build an economy on the back of inflation, you devalue the currency, you screw up the culture, because you start teaching people to have this instant gratification mentality, which actually wreaks havoc on the morality of a society. Like, we can go really in depth with this. We've talked about it before, and if you haven't read the book, The Bitcoin Standard by Safadine Amos, you absolutely should. He goes into more detail on it. But Tim, I want to ask you, what cultural impacts does a very high inflation rate like this have? We've talked a lot about economics, but what impact does this have on the people?
Well, no, I was even going to expound on what I was saying was, so this is really easy, especially if you are sitting with a large amount of money in your bank account. You can afford to say, you know what, screw this, I'm getting out of U.S. dollars, I'm going to put all my savings into crypto, I'm going to do all. But for the person who is living paycheck to paycheck, when you start talking about the culture of the average day person, the person has to live paycheck to paycheck, they don't have that same access. If they can't purchase things, if the only way they can purchase things is with U.S. dollar, they have to keep their money in U.S. dollar. And if we're constantly inflating it and destroying that dollar, we are constantly robbing their bank, robbing their account day in and day out. And this concept of just saying, well, hey, this doesn't affect me, so I don't care, is why the world is in so many problems that it is. When we are thinking, now, I'm not saying we need to go to a place where we do full out, let's just give money. No, I'm saying we have to fix the solution of the economics to affect not just that average day person. Because guess what? That person living paycheck to paycheck, what happens is when they live paycheck to paycheck and they can't pay their bills, they cry out. It happens. It's great.
And it causes a lot of social unrest. That's where every major revolution has ever come from. What happens when they cry out
is that more regulation comes in the market. So for anyone who's saying, well, this doesn't affect me, or I don't care because I can just put all my money in Bitcoin, or I can put all my money in blah, blah, blah. It will affect you, because what's going to happen is when people are hurt, they cry out. When people cry out, someone comes to the rescue. If the average person doesn't come to the rescue, the government comes to the rescue. What does the government do to rescue people? It puts up regulations. It makes ridiculous laws. It makes ridiculous stipulations on things. And then that's when it comes and affects every single person. Why is crypto going to have massive regulations? Because people are going to get hurt by crypto, and they're going to cry out, and people are going to come in and say, oh, let's save this person from being hurt. Let's create all these regulations that end up hurting everybody, not just that lower person.
You could be a politician, but you got too big of a heart for it, Tim. Drop a 1 in chat if you would vote for Tim for office. Smay, what do you think about what he just said? What do you think the results of inflation are on our societies?
It's horrible. I mean, like he just said, you're basically slowly getting robbed. So I mean,
it's another form of taxation. That's
oh
a good way
yeah,
of putting
no,
it.
it's horrible. I mean, I think that, and if you guys aren't taking matters into your own hands of setting yourself up for the future, and you're just relying on what the government's going to do for you, the government is never going to get it right. Like, I know that a lot of people always say, well, if we just get this guy in office, or we just get this guy in office. Guys, listen, they will never, ever, ever, ever get it perfect.
You know,
So you have to take your future into your own hands, and you have to
Every
set
single
yourself
problem that the world has will eventually be solved by a capitalist. I guarantee you. That has always been the case. And if you don't think that that's true, then you're using an electronic that was made by a capitalist. You're watching this on a camera that was made by a capitalist. There are problems with capitalism, don't get me wrong. I am a small government guy. That's obvious. You already know that. But my point is this. When you let the economy run itself, and you do have regulation, I'm not saying we don't need government, and you make sure that the morals are, anyway, I can go all day on that. What were you going to say, Tim?
Well, I'm going to get on a little soapbox, and I'm not attacking any one individual because this is an individual thing. This is a collective thing. You know who I think the real problem with what we're doing right now in terms of why the government's getting so involved in all these little issues and creating regulation? This is coming from a Christian. I am a Christian. I think the church is to blame. I think that the church has stopped being what we were made to be. And because the church, I mean, the whole thing is humans, we are inherently evil people. Yep. We are inherently selfish. If you look at a little kid thinks about me, I, and myself. The difference about what the church is supposed to be is a constant look at others and how can I help others. And I feel like this country used to be that way, and we stopped doing it. We started, as the church, we started saying, I'm going to look out for me, myself, and I. Yep. And what happens is when we don't take care of the poor, which was the number one thing, Jesus said to serve him, to follow him, and then to go out and care for the lost, the least, and the poor. And we stopped doing that. Yep. And so guess who's going to come in and do it? The government. It wasn't their job. It should not be them. But if we, the church, are not going to take care of it, then the government.
And you know the problem is that when the government comes in and tries to take care of the poor, you know what they do? They do it because they want to get reelected. And when you don't do the right thing for the right reason, then it's corrupt and it's evil and it's what caused this problem. The church was supposed to do it for the sake of just because that's what we're supposed to do and because we are good Christians. We stopped doing that. That's where a lot of this came from. I completely agree with you, Tim. Amen to that. Let's change topics a little bit. Tim,
yes.
If you had to put your life savings into one of the three following projects, which one would it be?
This is I prepped for this question.
Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, or SafeMoon?
Okay, I would rather read super chats from crazy names nonstop the rest of my life than get into any of the three.
Oh my gosh.
Here is what I will say, though. This is my rationale. If I had to choose any of the three, long term, as of right now, this could change. Shiba is just on a pump. SafeMoon had its pump. It's done. It's gone. Doge, as much as I hate it, still has backing of large people. For example, Mark Cuban and the entire Dallas Mavericks organization. You can still buy stuff with Doge.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of taken his foot off the gas. But I think there's larger people involved with Doge that if you told me, Tim, you have to choose one, things could change. Maybe Sheeb takes more attention. I don't know, but it hasn't yet. So as of this moment, if I had to choose one, I would go Dogecoin. But again, I would rather read super chats.
Yeah, no, I got to agree with you there. I think that Dogecoin is the one that I would choose if I had to, just because it does have at least some backing from Elon Musk. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. Hashtag Doge, hashtag Sheeb, or hashtag SafeMoon. Which one, if you had to put your life savings in it, would you do? Smay, what would you put in?
No, it's funny that you guys both said Doge, because I was actually going to say Doge as well.
Hey.
I mean, now, short term, maybe Sheeb might have another pump. We'll see.
Well, he didn't say. He said put your life savings.
But life savings?
Yeah.
Doge, because Doge is already, like, I can see it as something that's going to hold its value over time. You know, I think it's going to be something, obviously, I don't think we're going to see another Dogecoin pump.
You know, the funny thing is, all three of them are probably going to outperform the US dollar.
No, that's exactly what I mean. Like, Dogecoin, I think, is the most, like, if I'm going to put my life savings and, like, hope that it stays that way and holds its value, I see Dogecoin being that. I mean, not saying over Bitcoin or something, but in this scenario.
It's gone now, but somebody made a good point. Sheeb apparently has a cap to it, so I don't think that's true, but any one of them that has a cap to it, then that is going to be helpful. But yeah, Tim, also, I have another question for you. In November, let's kind of pull it all back to cryptocurrency. I have two questions for you, actually. Number one, In November, which of the big three, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Cardano, do you think is going to do the best? And number two, what impact do you think this Federal Reserve news will have on crypto? Because that's obviously what we're here for.
So I want to preface my answer by saying which of the three will do well. They're all three going to do well.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, my question is, and this is where I don't like what I'm seeing on the technicals yet to justify this, but there is a feeling I have that Cardano has been suppressed for so long that it is about to break out. Now, I want to see a couple things continue to develop on the technical side. I want to see some piece of news break here very soon. There's a chance that actually holds off until December before it's a massive rally, but believe me, Cardano will rally. When I'm looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum, they move simultaneously a lot of the time. Even right now, like the bearish sentiment, Jebb, real quick, because I can't, right at the moment, I can't show them my screen. Can you go look at the daily chart and then pull up the Bollinger Bands?
On Bitcoin?
On Bitcoin.
I can. Let's look at it. Got it up.
This is what I love. We talked about this on this show. If this is your first time, welcome. We love that you're here. But we've discussed this over the last couple of weeks. To have a healthy rally, you cannot just continue to rally above the 20 daily EMA, or SMA. You got to come down and touch it to be healthy. When you don't do it for a long period of time, you end up having a very steep correction. Sorry, I drank my energy. I'm being like bubbles. I don't know. So if you don't touch it from time to time, you have a harsh correction. Right now, for anyone who's like, oh, Bitcoin is done. Okay, zoom out. Look at this.
When in doubt, zoom out.
This is great. The fact that we didn't break through that 20 and then get below it and use it as resistance, the fact that we are now using that 20 daily SMA for support is massively bullish. I think that, and we're also constricting on those Bollinger Bands. I think we're about to see a breakout, whether it's by Friday or whether it's this weekend or whether it's sometime next week. And at the end of the day, we're just competitive on this channel. That's how we predict Fridays. Long term, though, when you zoom out, Bitcoin is primed within the next couple of days, and that could be all the way up to like 7, to have a breakout. And I love the health of what Bitcoin is doing. I'm waiting for the money to come in here. I think it's hard to argue that Bitcoin, I think at this point, if you said, Tim, choose one, I think Bitcoin. Yeah. But watch out for Cardano, and Ethereum's not far behind.
Let's go ahead and read a couple super chats, and then we'll wrap it out.
Yeah, we got one from, Krista the Crypto Pickle. Is this the same Krista as before?
Krista the Crypto Pickle.
I don't know, but
that's a
job
name.
Interview today. The reason why I'm asking is what she says. Job interview today. Wish me luck. Jebb, how do you feel about Cody? Smay, lay off the booze.
Oh, my gosh. Literally, my brother got me a little sampler, a bunch of little whiskeys, and I took one sip out of each of them to try them, okay? I did not get hungover. Good grief. I'm tired of this.
What do you think about Cody, Jebb?
This is a question that I've been asked so many times and I haven't looked into it yet. I need to. It's my fault.
Next one we have from Tommy. I don't know if I said Tommy Fortuna. Fortuna. I'm going to go
Fortuna. He's a fish.
What do you think of OMI? It's not currently trading on any mainstream exchange. If and when it does, would we not see a pretty large jump? Or do you think the NFT market is likely to fade out?
I think the NFT market is here to stay. I do think the NFT market as it stands is in a gigantic freaking bubble. But as far as the project you're asking about, I haven't looked into it. So I can't tell you. Can't tell you. Sorry. We're a big cap channel.
Unless one pops up while I'm reading this. AK said, can you look at...
She said same Krista. It's the same Krista.
Same Krista.
Hey.
Can you look at metasapiens.io NFT? Thank you. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that at AK.
I will look into it after the stream, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure. I'm going to go through chat and make sure I didn't miss anything. I think we're good. I think that is all of our super chats.
Cool. Well, guys, if you enjoyed today's show, make sure to hit that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 1,600 likes before we wrap it out. Thank you very much for tuning in. And also, make sure to check out our merchandise. You can see it right here. I have it up on my screen. We have an entire merch store. If you want to rep some of this stuff, it's really, really cool, and it's very high quality, guys. We're getting a lot of it coming in to our channel. I really love this phone case. This phone case looks absolutely awesome. We've got a bunch of stuff in here, and that Smay shirt is coming relatively soon, so make sure to check out all of that. And also make sure, if you haven't already, sign up for Lux Algo, use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. And also make sure to follow the three of us on Twitter. Smay, you want to go around, run all the lower thirds. I'm at Crypto Jebb over on Twitter. I post quite a bit, you know. You might know me over there, so check that out. Also, make sure to go and follow Tim at the _beard. He has been posting quite a bit. He posted something pretty funny yesterday, so if you go over there, you'll see that. And then go follow at Thicky Smay over on Twitter, and he talks about his turtles over there. Go for it, Smite. What were you going to say? We got a minute.
I
Full screen.
Yeah, I talk about my turtles. Sorry.
What else do you guys talk about on your Twitters?
I mean, yeah, Tim, what do you talk about on your Twitter?
I mean, if it's not sports or crypto, I don't put a lot over
Dude,
there.
it's Nerf or nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I
yesterday.
mean?
Nerf or nothing.
If you do look at my Twitter and you're
free
confused, go watch
sponsor.
yesterday's show because that'll be what you need.
Yeah, go watch yesterday's show, and if you know, you know. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed today's show, smash that subscribe button as well. That's all we got for you today. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.